The emergency beacon had remained silent for over 3,000 years. Its quantum circuitry lay dormant within the crystalline spires of the Centauri High Council chamber, gathering stellar dust as generations of philosophers and scientists pursued their peaceful studies of the cosmos. None of the current council members truly believed they would ever need to use it. That changed when the first colony went dark. Second Speaker Lyra watched the feed from her crystalline form, her lattice structure trembling with distress as the reports flooded in. The void entities, as the research team had designated them, consumed everything in their path. Not through conventional destruction, but by simply erasing the quantum probability of existence itself. The theories were correct. First Speaker Helios announced, his crystalline form pulsing with deep indigo waves of concern. These entities operate on principles that our science cannot address. We have no defense against them. The Galactic Council's response to their initial plea for aid had been predictably diplomatic. They offered sympathy, research assistance, and promises to study the phenomenon. But the Centauri didn't need more studies. They needed action. Third Speaker Nova approached the beacon's housing, her crystal facets reflecting the emergency lights that bathed the chamber. The Class X beacon was designed for exactly this scenario, an extinction-level threat that exceeds conventional defensive capabilities. It hasn't been activated since the Great Peace, Helios countered, but his objection carried a note of uncertainty. No species has ever responded to it. Even during the cascading singularity crisis, none dared to answer. Lyra's form shifted, projecting the latest data from their outer colonies. 3 more had gone silent in the past hour. Perhaps, she suggested, that is precisely why we should use it. What do we have to lose? The council chamber fell silent as the implications settled in. The Class X beacon was more than just an emergency signal. It was an admission that peaceful solutions had failed. To activate it was to announce to the galaxy that the Centauri were willing to accept help from anyone, even those species normally considered too volatile for polite interaction. Do it, Helios commanded finally, his crystal structure resonating with grim determination. Nova interfaced with the ancient device, her consciousness merging with its quantum circuits. The beacon awakened, sending its desperate signal across the galaxy on channels so powerful they'd briefly distorted the fabric of space-time itself. They expected to wait days, perhaps weeks, for any response. They received one in 4 hours and 23 minutes. The message came on all frequencies, broadcast with a directness that made the Centauri communication specialists vibrate with surprise. This is Earth Defense Force Ship Hyperion. We have received your Class X distress signal and are en route to your position. Please transmit tactical data on the nature of your emergency. We have experience with Void-class entities and can provide immediate assistance. The council chamber erupted in waves of chromatic shock. Earth, the quarantined world, whose inhabitants were deemed too unpredictable for regular contact. The humans, whose history of internal conflicts had led the Galactic Council to establish a non-intervention policy around their solar system. They claimed to have experience with such entities, Nova noted, her crystalline form flickering with cautious hope, and they responded without hesitation. The humans are known to be. Helios paused, searching for a diplomatic term, resourceful in crisis situations. Another colony went dark on their sensors. Lyra made the decision. Her crystal structure blazed with determination as she transmitted their response. Earth Defense Force Hyperion, we accept your assistance. Transmitting tactical data now. Please hurry. The response was immediate and would be forever recorded in Centauri history. Already at full burn. Don't worry, you're not alone in this fight anymore. Humanity has your back. As the Council processed this development, they couldn't help but wonder, what kind of species casually mentions having experience with entities that shouldn't exist? And more importantly, what had humanity been dealing with all these years in their self-imposed isolation? They were about to find out. The Galactic Council's emergency session was already in chaos when Admiral Sarah Chen walked in. The fact that she had managed to enter the celestial spire, the most secure location in known space, without triggering a single alarm, only added to the pandemonium. "Please pardon the unannounced arrival," she said, straightening her deep blue uniform. "But given the nature of the threat, we felt traditional diplomatic channels would be too slow." The council chamber, a vast amphitheater designed to host representatives from over 300 species, fell into stunned silence. The Murith delegation's fur stood on end, while the collective mind of the Cypheren buzzed with analytical confusion. High Counselor Vex of the Aetherian Dominion found his voice first. "How did you bypass our defensive grid?" Admiral Chen pulled out a small silver device and placed it on the central podium. "We've had similar systems protecting Earth for centuries. Though I must compliment your quantum entanglement barriers, they almost gave us pause." "Almost." She smiled, and several empathic species in the chamber inadvertently shivered. "This is unprecedented," Vex continued, his ethereal form flickering with agitation. "Earth is under quarantine by mutual agreement. Your presence here violates 17 colonies. The Zentari representative's voice cut through the chamber, their crystalline form pulsing with urgent patterns. "We have lost 17 colonies in the time we spent discussing protocols. The void entities are accelerating their consumption rate." Admiral Chen nodded toward the Zentari. "This is precisely why we came. Earth has extensive experience with extra-dimensional incursions. We've developed effective countermeasures." "Impossible," the Cypheren collective mind projected. "Our records indicate no such incidents in your system." "Of course not," Chen replied, activating a holographic display from her device. "We contained them before they could spread, like the Jakarta event, or the Tunguska response team's work, or the Mariana Trench sealing. We've been quite busy." The display showed images that made several council members recoil. Tears in reality, geometric impossibilities, and things that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. But more importantly, it showed humans dealing with them, sealing them, containing them. "You've been fighting these entities all along," the Zentari representative realized, their crystal structure resonating with newfound hope. "Fighting, studying, and developing countermeasures," Chen confirmed. "We maintained our quarantine partially to avoid drawing their attention to the rest of the galaxy. We didn't realize some had slipped through elsewhere." High Counselor Vex's form stabilized as he processed this information. "You're saying Earth's isolation was self-imposed to protect us?" "Among other reasons," Chen smiled again, but this time it carried a hint of weariness. "We've learned a lot about containing these threats. Now we'd like to help before the situation escalates further." The Zentari's latest emergency transmission chose that moment to play through the chamber. Another 3 colonies had gone dark. The void entities were moving faster, learning, adapting. "We don't have time for a formal vote," Chen stated, her voice carrying the weight of command. "The Hyperion battle group is already moving to establish a defensive perimeter around the remaining Zentari worlds. We're requesting retroactive permission and cooperation." The council chamber erupted in overlapping discussions, but the Zentari representative floated forward. "The Zentari accept Earth's assistance, regardless of the council's decision." Admiral Chen nodded respectfully. "Thank you. Now let me explain exactly what we're dealing with, and why humanity is uniquely qualified to help." As she began her briefing, even the most skeptical council members found themselves paying rapt attention. The humans hadn't just survived these encounters, they had mastered them. And as unsettling as that thought was, right now it was exactly what the galaxy needed. The age of comfortable ignorance was over. The time had come to learn why humanity had chosen to stand guard alone for so long. The Hyperion battle group emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their hulls adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to twist in ways that hurt the eyes. The Zentari observation team watched in fascination as 15 Earth vessels took up defensive positions around their homeworld. "Those markings," Senior Observer Helios noted, his crystalline form vibrating with scientific curiosity. "They appear to be some form of geometric ward system." Containment arrays, Lieutenant Rodriguez explained from her station on the observation deck. They help disrupt the void entity's ability to perceive our ships as valid targets. Makes us harder to erase from reality. The human crew moved with practiced efficiency, deploying what they called reality anchors at strategic points around the planet. Each device hummed with a frequency that made the Centauri's crystalline forms resonate uncomfortably, but the humans seemed completely unaffected. Contact. The warning came from the Hyperion sensor officer. Void signature detected. Bearing 037. Magnitude increasing. Admiral Chen's voice remained steady over the command channel. Battle stations. Deploy Containment Protocol 7. Remember your training, people, just like the Jupiter incident. The void entities emerged like tears in the fabric of space, their non-Euclidean geometries defying description. The Centauri observation team felt their crystalline structures strain as reality itself protested the entity's presence. But the humans didn't retreat. Instead, their ships moved in complex patterns, the containment arrays on their hulls blazing with strange light. Where the void entities reached out with reality-eating tendrils, the human vessels danced away, leaving behind devices that warped space in controlled bursts. They're hurting them, Helios realized, watching the tactical display. The humans are actually controlling where these things can move. Lieutenant Rodriguez nodded, adjusting some controls on her console. Basic void entity behavior. They follow patterns of quantum probability. Once you understand that, you can predict their movements. Watch this. The Hyperion's main guns fired, not with conventional energy weapons, but with beams that seemed to temporarily stabilize reality itself. Where they struck, the void entities recoiled, their form-destroying powers disrupted by what the humans casually called quantum lockdown fields. Containment successful in sectors 1 through 4, the tactical officer reported. Reality anchor network is holding steady. Permission to deploy the Bell device. Granted, Chen responded. All ships, maintain the containment triangle. Don't let any of them slip through when we ring the bell. The Centauri watched in amazement as a small device was launched into the center of the trapped void entities. It looked deceptively simple, just a sphere with more of those reality warping patterns etched into its surface. You might want to brace yourselves, Rodriguez warned, her fingers dancing over her console. This part can get a bit weird. The Bell device activated, and for a moment, reality held its breath. Then it sang. A pure note that existed somewhere between dimensions, between what was and what could be. The void entities, for the first time in recorded history, screamed. Full power to the containment arrays, Chen ordered. Don't let up. We've got them on the ropes. The human ships moved in perfect synchronization, their arrays focusing the Bell's effect, creating a pocket of pure, stable reality that the void entities couldn't corrupt. Trapped between the ship's containment fields and the Bell's resonance, the entities began to collapse in on themselves. When it was over, where there had been reality-destroying horrors, there was now only empty space and a few quantum particles rapidly decaying into nothing. Threat contained, Chen announced calmly. Damage report. As the human crews began their standard post-engagement procedures, Helios turned to Rodriguez. You make it look so routine. The lieutenant smiled, checking her readings. We've had practice. Lots of practice. Though I have to admit, these ones were particularly large. Probably because they've been feeding unchecked for so long. How many times has Earth faced threats like this? These specific types. This would be our 7th major encounter. But there are other things out there in the dark between stars. That's why we stayed quiet for so long. We wanted to be ready before we introduced ourselves to the galaxy. The Centauri observation team shared a collective resonance of understanding. They had just witnessed why humanity had chosen isolation, and why they might be exactly what the galaxy needed right now. The quantum research laboratory aboard the Hyperion buzzed with activity as human scientists worked alongside their Centauri counterparts. Crystalline forms shifted and sparkled next to holographic displays, creating an otherworldly light show that reflected off the laboratory's polished surfaces. Senior researcher Nova watched in fascination as Dr. Sarah Martinez casually manipulated equations that should have driven any normal mind to madness. "You're saying humans discovered these principles through trial and error?" "More like desperate necessity," Martins replied, adjusting a three-dimensional model of void entity behavior. "Nothing motivates scientific breakthrough quite like an extinction-level threat." The Tunguska incident was our first major wake-up call. The laboratory's main display showed footage from various human encounters with cosmic horrors. Each incident had led to new discoveries, new technologies, new ways of understanding the universe. The Zentari researchers found themselves simultaneously horrified and impressed by humanity's methodical approach to the impossible. Here, Martins pointed to a particular sequence of equations. "We learned this part when a void entity tried to eat Chicago. The math suggested it was impossible to stop them, so we had to rewrite the math. Sometimes the universe doesn't play by its own rules, so we had to get creative." Nova's crystalline form vibrated with understanding. "You adapted your science to match observed reality, rather than insisting reality match existing theories." "Exactly," Martins beamed. "Convention said you couldn't quantify chaos or measure dimensional instability. But conventional wisdom never had to deal with a tear in space-time over a major population center." At a nearby workstation, Lieutenant Commander Chen, no relation to the Admiral, was teaching a group of Zentari engineers about the containment arrays. "The patterns aren't just for show," he explained, pulling up detailed schematics. "They're mathematical expressions written in geometry. Each line represents a different probability lock. But the calculations required to maintain these patterns in real time." One of the Zentari engineers trailed off, their crystal structure flickering with disbelief. "Would be impossible for any normal computer," Chen agreed. "That's why we developed quantum organic processors. Turns out human brains are surprisingly good at processing dimensional mathematics when properly augmented." In another corner, a young human ensign was explaining their early warning system to an enthralled group of Zentari observers. "We call it the Whisper Network. It's a bit like your quantum communication systems, but instead of sending messages through space, it monitors the stability of reality itself. When something tries to, well, eat existence, it leaves ripples." Nova moved between the various groups, absorbing knowledge that challenged everything the Zentari thought they knew about the universe. The humans hadn't just survived their encounters with cosmic horrors, they had turned each incident into an opportunity to learn and grow stronger. "The void entities are evolving," Martins noted, bringing everyone's attention back to the main display. "They're learning from each encounter, adapting their strategies. That's why we need to combine our knowledge. Your quantum mathematics could revolutionize our containment systems, and your practical experience could help us understand phenomena we previously thought impossible to study." Nova agreed. "But there's something I don't understand. Why did humanity choose to face these threats alone for so long?" Martinez's expression turned thoughtful. "Partly to protect other species from drawing the attention of these entities, but mostly, we needed to be sure we could handle it. Imagine if we'd asked for help too soon, revealed these threats to an unprepared galaxy. The panic alone could have torn civilization apart." The laboratory fell silent as everyone processed this. The humans had shouldered an impossible burden, turning themselves into guardians of reality itself, all while the rest of the galaxy dismissed them as too dangerous for contact. "Well," Nova finally said, their crystal structure glowing with newfound respect, "perhaps it's time we helped you carry that burden." Martinez smiled. "That's why we're here. Together, we might just be able to solve the impossible." The holographic display in the Hyperion Strategic Command Center showed Earth's solar system, but not as the Zentari delegation had ever seen it before. Layers of defense systems, monitoring stations, and containment facilities created a complex web of protection around humanity's home. We call it the Garden, Commander Rodriguez explained, zooming in on a massive structure orbiting Jupiter. Each facility specializes in containing different types of cosmic threats. This one, she pointed to the Jupiter station, handles dimensional anomalies. The Mars complex deals with temporal incursions. And the Kuiper Belt Array, well, it watches the deep dark. First speaker Helios moved closer to the display, his crystalline form refracting the holographic light. All this time, we thought Earth was quarantined to protect the galaxy from humanity, but you were protecting us from something far worse. Both, actually, Rodriguez admitted. We knew our response to these threats might frighten other species. Humans tend to be direct in dealing with problems. So we decided to handle things quietly until we had everything under control. The display shifted to show historical footage, a massive void entity attempting to emerge over the Pacific Ocean, only to be contained by a hastily assembled human fleet. A temporal storm above the Arctic, sealed by technology that shouldn't have existed yet. Each incident showed humanity facing impossible odds with determination and ingenuity. The Geneva event was our closest call, Rodriguez continued, bringing up another recording. A void entity large enough to consume the entire solar system. We lost 3 cities before we figured out how to stop it. That's when we realized we needed to take a more proactive approach. The Centauri delegation watched in amazement as the footage showed humans deliberately creating small, controlled tiers in reality, just to study them. Testing containment systems, developing new technologies, preparing for threats they hoped would never come. Your entire civilization reorganized itself around cosmic defense, second speaker Nova observed. Every scientific breakthrough, every technological advancement, had to serve 2 purposes, Rodriguez finished. Help us progress as a species, and help us protect everything we hold dear. The void entities were just the beginning. There are things out there that make them look friendly. The display showed the current situation around the Centauri homeworld. Human ships maintained their defensive positions, their containment arrays glowing steadily. But now, the Centauri could see the deeper complexity of their operations, layers of quantum mathematics and probability manipulation that their own scientists were only beginning to understand. We've modified the Whisper network to cover your solar system, Rodriguez explained, highlighting new installations. The quantum resonance of your crystalline cities actually improves its sensitivity. With your help, we might be able to extend the network to other threatened regions. Why share this knowledge now? Helios asked, after keeping it secret for so long. Rodriguez's expression turned serious. Because the void entities are evolving faster than ever. They're learning, adapting, becoming more aggressive. We've contained them 73 times in Earth's history, but they keep coming back stronger. We need allies who understand what we're really fighting. The display zoomed out to show the galaxy, with points of light indicating potential void entity activity. There were far more than the Centauri had realized. Earth couldn't stay hidden forever, Rodriguez continued. And honestly, we didn't want to. There's too much at stake, too much to protect. We just needed to be sure we could offer real help when we finally stepped forward. The Centauri delegation shared a resonant moment of understanding. Humanity hadn't been hiding in shame or fear. They had been preparing, building their garden into a fortress of knowledge and defense that could protect not just Earth, but any world that needed help. So, Rodriguez said, bringing up designs for new defensive systems that combined human and Centauri technology. Shall we get to work? The garden could always use more gardeners. The void entities returned exactly as the humans predicted, but this time both sides had evolved. The Hyperion battle group's containment arrays now sparkled with integrated Centauri quantum crystals, while the Centauri defense platforms hummed with human reality anchoring technology. Multiple void signatures detected, the sensor officer reported. They're bigger than before. Pattern suggests coordinated movement. Admiral Chen studied the tactical display, where the void entities appeared as probability storms in the fabric of space-time. They're learning. Notice how they're staying just outside the range of our standard containment fields. The bridge crew watched as the entities began their approach. Where before they had moved chaotically, now they displayed clear purpose. Reality warped around them in complex patterns that even the most advanced sensors struggle to track. They remember our last encounter. Lieutenant Rodriguez observed from her station. They're adapting their quantum structure to resist the Bell device. Chen smiled. Then it's time to show them that humans aren't the only ones who can adapt. Signal the Centauri platforms to begin Phase 1. The crystalline defense platforms activated in perfect synchronization, their structures resonating with frequencies that made space itself shiver. The void entities paused, encountering something new. A quantum harmony they couldn't simply erase from existence. Mathematical defense grid online, the tactical officer announced. Centauri crystal matrices are stable and synchronized with our containment arrays. The void entities struck first, launching tendrils of unreality that could unwrite anything they touched. But where these attacks had once torn through space unchallenged, they now met resistance. The combined human Centauri defenses created zones of absolute stability, turning the battle into a complex dance of probability and counterpoint. Now that's interesting, Chen mused, watching the entities react. They're showing signs of confusion. Dr. Martinez, are you seeing this? Fascinating. The scientist's voice came through clear on the command channel. They'd never encountered unified quantum resistance before. The Centauri crystals are amplifying our containment fields exponentially. The void entities pulled back, regrouping. Their next attack came from multiple vectors simultaneously, a coordinated strike that would have overwhelmed either species' defenses alone. But together. Execute Phase 2, Chen ordered. All ships, initiate the resonance cascade. Centauri platforms, prepare for quantum synchronization. The human fleet moved into an intricate formation, their containment arrays pulsing in harmony with the Centauri crystals. Energy flowed between ships and platforms, creating a web of stable reality that trapped the void entities in a geometrically perfect cage. They're trying to phase shift, Rodriguez called out, attempting to slide between dimensions. Not this time, Chen responded. Deploy the enhanced Bell device. Let's show them what happens when humanity and the Centauri work together. The new Bell device, its surface covered in both containment arrays and quantum crystals, activated with a pulse that rippled through multiple layers of reality. The void entities found themselves trapped not just in normal space, but across all probable dimensions they might try to escape to. Full power to the unified grid, Chen commanded. Push them back into the void they came from. The combined fleet pressed their advantage. Where the void entities had once inspired terror, they now faced something unprecedented. Two species working in perfect harmony, their technologies merged into something greater than either could have achieved alone. The battle reached its crescendo as the Bell device's resonance peaked. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. And then, entity signatures collapsing. The sensor officer reported, excitement breaking through their professional tone. They're being forced into a quantum singularity of their own making. As the last traces of the void entities vanished, a cheer went up from both human and Centauri crews. They had done more than just win a battle. They had proven that together, they could face any horror the universe might throw at them. Well done, everyone, Chen said, allowing herself a small smile. But stay alert. Something tells me they won't take this defeat lying down. When they come back, they'll be even stronger. Good, Rodriguez replied, checking her modified sensors. Because so will we. The Galactic Council chamber looked very different from when Admiral Chen had first walked in unannounced. Now, holographic displays showed the combined human-Centauri defense network spreading across threatened sectors, while delegates from dozens of species eagerly discussed the implications of recent events. The vote is unanimous, High Counselor Vex announced, his ethereal form glowing with unusual warmth. The emergency provisions for technological sharing and defense cooperation are approved. Humanity's quarantine status is officially lifted. Chen stood at the podium, flanked by both human and Centauri representatives. On behalf of Earth, we thank the Council. But more importantly, we look forward to working together. The void entities won't be the last threat we face as a galaxy. The chamber's main display showed construction projects already underway. New defense platforms combining human containment technology with Centauri quantum crystals, early warning systems extending the Whisper network's coverage, and training facilities where species could learn from each other's strengths. The Murith Confederation offers our stealth technology, a feline delegate announced, tail swishing with excitement. Combined with human void containment systems, we might be able to catch these entities before they fully manifest. The SciFi Collective offers our processing capabilities, the hive mind representative added. Our neural networks could enhance the prediction algorithms significantly. One by one, species that had once viewed humanity with suspicion now stepped forward with offers of cooperation. Each brought unique perspectives and technologies to the table, expanding the possibilities of what they could achieve together. First speaker Helios moved to the center of the chamber, his crystalline form radiating with purpose. The Centauri have already begun adapting our city ships to serve as mobile defense platforms. With human guidance, we can transform our philosophical understanding of quantum mechanics into practical protection for all species. Dr. Martinez, standing beside Chen, pulled up technical specifications that made several scientific delegates gasp in appreciation. We've already seen remarkable results from combining technologies. The void entities are strong, but they've never faced a unified galaxy before. More importantly, Chen added, we're starting to understand them better. Each encounter, each shared piece of knowledge, brings us closer to comprehending their true nature. And what we understand, we can defend against. The discussion turned to establishing joint research facilities, training programs, and response protocols. Species that had maintained careful diplomatic distances for millennia now found common ground in facing a shared threat. There will be more attacks, Chen cautioned, ensuring everyone understood the stakes. The void entities are persistent, and they're not the only danger out there. Earth has encountered others. Temporal anomalies, dimensional rifts, things that defy easy classification. Then we will face them together, Vex declared. Perhaps this is why the ancient beacon remained silent for so long. It waited for the right moment, when we were ready to truly unite. Martins brought up images of the latest human Centauri defense platforms. We're already seeing incredible innovations. The Centauri's quantum mathematics has revolutionized our containment technology, while our practical experience helps focus their theoretical work. And that's just the beginning, Helios added. Each species brings new perspectives, new possibilities. The Murith's stealth systems, the SciFi's processing power, even the Aetherian's energy manipulation. Together, we're stronger than any of us imagined possible. Chen smiled, watching the chamber buzz with collaborative energy. Earth stayed hidden because we didn't want to frighten anyone with the truth about what's out there. We never imagined that sharing these burdens would make them lighter. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson here, Vex observed. The very qualities that made other species wary of humanity, your adaptability, your determination, your willingness to face the impossible, are exactly what we needed. You didn't just answer the call for help, you showed us how to help ourselves. The chamber filled with agreement resonances from a dozen species. The galaxy was changing, preparing, uniting. And at the heart of it all stood the unlikely partnership between crystalline philosophers and the humans who had dared to guard reality itself. 3 months after the first void entity attack on the Centauri worlds, the observation deck of the Hyperion offered a spectacular view of humanity's changing role in the galaxy. Below, Earth's first official embassy on the Centauri homeworld neared completion, its architecture blending human containment geometry with crystalline quantum resonators. Admiral Chen stood with first speaker Helios, watching construction drones weave reality-stabilizing arrays into the building's framework. Sometimes I still can't believe how much has changed, she mused. 6 months ago, we were deliberately hiding our capabilities. And now you're teaching advanced void entity defense to 27 species, Helios responded, his crystal structure gleaming with amusement. The latest class of Murith stealth operators has already mastered basic containment protocols. The display screens around them showed similar scenes playing out across the galaxy. Human instructors working alongside Centauri scientists to establish new early warning networks. The SciFi collective incorporating void detection algorithms into their neural matrices. Even the traditionally isolated Aetherians had opened their gas giant habitats to joint defense projects. Latest report from the Whisper Network, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, bringing up a holographic display. We've identified and contained 3 potential incursions this week alone. The new quantum-enhanced detection grid is working better than expected. The display showed the growing web of protection spreading between the stars. Each point of light represented a defense platform, a monitoring station, or a rapid response team. Human ships patrolled alongside vessels from a dozen species, all equipped with hybrid technology that would have seemed impossible just months ago. The void entities are adapting to our combined defenses, Chen noted, studying the tactical readings. But so are we. Each encounter teaches us something new. That's the difference you humans brought to the galaxy, Helios observed. Not just the technology or the experience, but the mindset. You taught us to see these threats not as the end of everything, but as challenges to overcome. The main screen shifted to show footage from the latest training exercises. Centauri crystal ships moved in perfect formation with human vessels, their combined systems creating defensive barriers that could stop even the largest void entities. Murith stealth ships practiced quick response protocols, while Aetherian energy manipulators fine-tuned their containment fields. We've received another 12 applications for the Joint Defense Program, Rodriguez reported, including 3 species from the Outer Rim who previously refused all contact with the Council. Chen smiled. Nothing brings people together quite like a common cause. Though I have to admit, I never expected to see the day when humanity would be considered the galaxy's protective older sibling. You earned that role, Helios said firmly, not through force or fear, but by showing us a better way to face the darkness. Your isolation wasn't a punishment, it was preparation for this moment. The displays showed new data from the enhanced Whisper network. The void entities' attempts to breach reality were becoming more sophisticated, but so were the galaxy's defenses. Each failed incursion provided more data, more opportunities to improve their protection systems. We're detecting quantum fluctuations in Sector 7, Rodriguez announced. Possible void entity formation. No, wait. The automatic containment systems are already responding. Crisis prevented before it even began. Now that's progress. Chen nodded approvingly. From hiding our capabilities to teaching the galaxy to protect itself. Though I suspect we'll always have more to learn from each other. Helios's crystalline form pulsed with agreement. The ancient beacon called for help, and you answered. But you did more than just save us. You showed us how to save ourselves. Together, they watched as another class of mixed-species defenders graduated from the training facility below. Each student carried technology that merged the best aspects of their civilizations. Human determination and ingenuity combined with the unique strengths of a dozen alien races. The galaxy was changing, growing stronger. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth. Sometimes the most dangerous species in the galaxy were exactly what everyone needed. Teachers, protectors, and bridges between the stars.